Hello and welcome to my Tech One. My name is Igor and I have a 3D scanner review in this video, and it is the CR-SCAN Lizard by Creality. On the box we can see here the image of the scanner, then on the side we can see some industries where it can be used, and then on the back side we can see the main specifications. Now I already have a 3D scanner review on this channel earlier, and it is the CR-SCAN 01. And from the specifications, immediately I can notice few things. Well, on the website it says it is smaller, compact, portable and bigger accuracy. And if I compare the accuracy, on CR-SCAN 01 it has accuracy 0.1 mm and resolution 0.5 mm. Until on the Lizard, the accuracy is 0.05 mm and resolution is 0.1 mm. The distance with the handheld mode is same, between 300 and 200 millimeters. But the biggest difference here again, I can see scanning range in turntable mode. Until with the older version it is between 0.3 and 0.5 meters. Here, according to the information on the box, between 15 and 300 millimeters. So 15 millimeters, this means I can go really close to the turntable. Just small correction, under the scanning range, probably they mean the size of the scanning object, not the distance of the scanning. And scan smaller objects, because with the older version actually this is the smallest part which I successfully scanned in 2 passes. And with smaller parts, scanning in 2 passes didn't result good objects, because when I rotated, it couldn't get enough details to align the images on each other. So I'm very curious if this new scanner can scan good quality smaller parts. Okay, let's see what's in the box here. The older version I got the full kit too, but it didn't arrive in this bag. So definitely that's a very nice step to be a portable. Quick guide, a turntable top which is textured for better accuracy, and then we have this turntable with micro USB connection. And this is the main scanning unit, and definitely it is much smaller. I think it's, I don't know, maybe half of the size of the CR-SCAN 01. There is a hole for the tripod and only one connection here on the side. Adapters for different power supplies. I will need this one for EU plug. And there is a cable, probably this goes to the scanner, and this side is for the power supply and USB. Micro USB cable, probably for the tripod. And this is the power supply. Let me check the output. The output is 12 volts, 3 amperes. And the tripod. Only later I noticed that I can extend it a little bit more. Interesting, I have here 3 smaller balls, I'm not sure what they're for. And this is the screw for the adapter for the tripod. And 8 GB USB drive. I found out where are those balls going. They are going into these holes to be more smooth, this rotating of the turntable. It was halfly open, so that's why they fall out. Well, in this manual it starts with explaining the hardware installation, so I will start with that. I will start with connecting the main unit, and we have here this red dot and here also, so we have to align those 2 points and insert the cable. Later, if I want to unplug it, there are two lock elements, and if I pull back this cylinder, they can release the cable and I can pull it out. Pull back and you can pull it out. The micro USB cable goes into the turntable. Interesting. Now there is one thing which was solved better on the previous version. So the other side of this turntable was plugged into the main unit and get the power supply from there. So it was turned on only when necessary by the software. But now it says the turntable power cord can be plugged into the computer through the USB power, or use the phone charger for its power supply. So this means I have to use another USB port on the computer, but I'm quite limited with the USB ports on my laptop, so I will try, instead of phone charger, I will try to use this power bank. And now you can see it's rotating. So this means it constantly rotates, but I will turn on when I will be using it. So the other end of this cable which connects the main unit is split to two. One is the USB which goes to the computer, and the other goes into this power supply. And I will plug this to AC power only when I'm connected with the computer and I install the software. I mount the main unit on the tripod. And now installing the software and connecting with the laptop. The software is CR Studio and it should be on this USB drive. This is the content of the USB disk, and in here we have some video instructions and then some PDF instructions, but most important thing is in this zip file, and this is the CR Studio, and I unzip it to the folder, and I started this exe file, and I thought it will start the installation, but actually the software started, so it doesn't require the installation. This means I have to finish the connecting and it's ready for using. I need a little bit more space for work. So once everything is connected, now I connected the USB to the laptop and the power supply. I created a shortcut and I started the software again, and between hand scan and table mode I chose the table mode for the first try. And then I have to choose the work directory. In this folder the all work will be saved. And after this I started the preview. And I have to move the turntable with the object, so the object is in the center of this image. And then I can start the initial, so I have to remove the object from the turntable. And it will make one rotation. I will speed up this 8 times. And after this I can start with the scanning with the object on it. And this is also speed up 8 times. And after this it asks for saving the project. And I can start the second scan in the new position of the object. And then I can start the process. It asks in this window, do I want to align automatically? Yes, and it was successful. As you can see, it recognized two positions and it's aligned. And after processing the data, the object is ready for the export. It will be saved like OBJ file. I can see some imperfection, especially where the black color was on the eyes and a little bit on the wings. I will correct this in the Meshmixer. But otherwise, it's quite good for the first try. And this is now the Meshmixer. It is a free software from the Autodesk, and I use it often to fix this kind of errors on the objects. And I will left here this approximately half-minute tutorial. Maybe it will be useful to somebody. But if you don't want to see it, you can just jump approximately 20 seconds more. And then I save the object, and import into Slicer and cut the bottom to get a flat surface. And then the printing was approximately 2.5 hours and the object was finished. I removed the supports and compared with the original object. I decided to measure the real scanning distances, so I moved back the scanner until the object disappears, and I measured it was 35 centimeters. And I moved closer until the object don't disappear again, and it was 15 centimeters, measured from the edge of the scanner. And then I changed the scan object to small, and I repeated the measurement, and the values were the same. So basically, I couldn't see the effect of these settings. And just a few more quick examples. So this is some kind of ball. It has a hose, but it will be on this stand, and I want to see if I will see these lines. This is basketball miniature. Then this cylinder, it has inside this hole. I'm curious if it will be visible. Then I have this toy. And I want to see, I will try to do this in two passes. I want to see if this hole will be completely visible. And the last one will be this milk toy box. Now the reason that I choose these almost standard geometric shapes, that we can easily recognize any imperfections. So if this is a sphere, but software don't know that this is a sphere, any imperfection we can easily recognize, but this really came out good. The next one was this cylinder, and after the scanning I can see that this surface is really great outside and inside. The next one was this toy, which as I mentioned, I want to scan it in two positions. So this is the second position now. And it didn't align it correctly. So here at least I can demonstrate the manual align. All I have to do is find 3 marker pairs and mark them on one and the second objects with the right click. And you can see here the process. I'm marking the third marker pair. And when I click on align, it's aligned, and the result is quite good. There are some errors, but they would be easily fixed in the Meshmixer. And the last object is this small box with a lot of flat surfaces. And after scanning, I processed the data, and those flat surfaces came out really good. All these objects you can download from my website if you want to analyze them. And now let's test the second scanning method. And it's time to test the handhold mode, and I will use this tripod as a holder. And I will scan the head of the only volunteer I could find, and you know him from my previous video scan review video. And I will try to scan only the head and to see the details. Now the big difference compared to that one, that this one by default doesn't scan in color. And on the website and videos I can see that there will be some add-on with the smartphone. It can scan the textures, and there will be some color scanning then. But as it is now, by default, it can only scan the geometry but without textures. I'm just testing the distance because I want to start from here and go around, and I will finish somewhere here. And then I started the software in hand scan mode. And after setting the parameters, I started with the scanning. And this really needs a lot of practicing. So pay attention to the distance. Always has to stay approximately around 20 and 30 centimeters from the objects and pointing into center of the scanning area. And take a look of this green area. So the scanning surface is very small. And if I move a little bit faster, it will lose the connection between two frames. But this was not for my first attempt, so even when I found the perfect parameters, it took me at least 4 or 5 attempts until I get this successful scan of this head. And actually all those details came out really good. And just to illustrate you, here you can see in the real time how slow I have to move during the scanning, and this is speed up 8 times. So prepare yourself that the hand scan mode is not for the beginners, it needs a lot of practicing and experimenting. Creality also suggested me to try the texture mode during the scanning of this toy. I tried, but it constantly lost the tracking, and I'm not surprised because this toy doesn't have any texture on it, only small relief. Of course I give it a try, but as you can see, this hand scan mode needs a lot of practicing and experimenting. Let's try something similar I saw on the Creality's animation, so I'll try to scan maybe this silicone tank. Now this object was very challenging because it doesn't have any relief or the texture on it, and at the beginning I had continuously failed scans, and then I contacted Creality and they gave me some tips. So first of all I place it on this turntable so to get some background texture, and also they suggested me that to scan from the biggest distance and always to have at least one corner in the frame, and this resulted me finally the successful scans. So the hand scan really needs a lot of practicing, but especially this object would be much better to be scanned in the turntable mode. Another similar test with this egg holder, and I will have these two eggs inside, and I'll mostly try to cover the upper part. Well, in this scanning more than 1000 frames are captured, and you will see I try to scan mostly from the upper view because the scanning area is small and I have to cover the whole surface. And this is the result, so some holes are still visible because I didn't scan from that view angle, but the object is repairable, and I would say that this is closer to the success than to the failed scan. Now the handheld mode is quite difficult because we have to aim the scanner to the center of the objects, but in the meantime we have to watch the screen in case that it skips steps or lost the tracking. For me, sometimes I'm using this tool-stick glued to the scanner for easier aiming, but there is a suggestion for Creality. So I'm sure that it will be possible to integrate some kind of pointer laser into the scanner, and then it would point to the center of the objects. It would be much easier to move and always to point to the object. Of course, sometimes this spot would have effect on the scanning, but I'm sure it is possible to turn it off for that short moment until it records the frame, and then again turn it on. In that case, the usability would be much better, and also maybe a small LED would be very useful here, which would turn on if it lost the tracking. So we know that we have to look at the screen to see what is the problem. It's time to test the turntable and handheld mode, black shoe with the shoelace, and it is important to set the brightness to the maximum for the black object. First two attempts failed on the start, but after third one I got very usable objects. The shoelace, holes and hidden view scans are not visible, but all those scanned small details on black surface came out very nice. Let's try these shoes, it's a little bit simpler compared to this one. Geometry small and the brightness to maximum. Here I scanned only one rotation and only the hole and some dead angle wasn't visible. I forgot to record the rendered object, but this was much closer to the successful scan. One more request from Creality, so they told me when I'm scanning this shoe I should scan it as a big object, brightness maximum, so I will give it another try. So I didn't experience any difference between these two scannings, but as I promised I repeated the scan, and this is the point cloud, and this time I didn't forget to render the image, and it came out very equally like with the previous scan as a small object. Let's try to scan a vase with a lot of texture, but I think this will be a little bit big. If it is a little bit bigger, then I have to scan it to move my hand up and down. But in the meantime, the object rotates and it cannot connect two frames, and I lose the scanning position. Now I'll try to scan only top of the vase without moving the scanner up and down, so only this part. And if I don't have to move the scanner up and down, only holding in one position, the scanning is very nice, but again, in that case I would rather use the turntable mode. An apple, great for texture mode testing. Scanning of the Apple surface was great, but again, a typical object where the turntable mode would be much better and scanning in the 2 position. In that case, those holes would be covered too. Few more attempts with different results, so this dummy was failed because I had to move up and down the scanner. Thanks to its rich texture, this all was scanned correctly, but this was my third attempt. I had some failed scans when I moved from the bottom to the top position because of the height of this object. It lost the connection between 2 frames. This mug was successful until it lost the connection and got 2 errors. And this remote controller was, let's say, successful, but again this would be much better on the turntable mode. And I know I will get several comments that if this can scan human face. I'll try, but actually the older version would be better because this one has a too big zoom, so I cannot point just to my face and it will be in the frame, but let's give it a try. Unfortunately, I have no helpers and no volunteers, so I have to try to scan myself. And you can see with that green rectangle how small is the scanning area. But this is the scanning distance, I cannot go farther. After scanning, the point cloud looked very promising, and after processing I got the final object, and this was pleasant surprise. It is really recognizable. And definitely, if I would have some helper to scan my face and go around me, or maybe I could sit on a chair which rotates, the results will be even better. So it looks like it can scan the face, but it is very hard. And definitely it will be better to have a wider angle lens to cover bigger scanning area. In that case, the scanning from the hand will be much easier. And now the conclusions. Well, it looks like again I got an early bird product. With this I mean it's a product which is 95% finished. That's the disadvantage of being a reviewer. But anyway, let's go step by step. The turntable mode. I really like this scanning method, and it's really accurate. So it's more accurate than the 01 version, and I could successfully scan really small parts in 2 passes. Approximately in 50% cases that outer line was recognized, and it put together those 2 scannings, and I got really nice objects. If it's not recognized automatically, the manual aligning works fine, so I don't have a problem with that. The scanning distance is not really correct like given on this box, because I have to stay between 20 and maybe 30 centimeters from the objects. This means we are limited with the scale, with the size of the scanning object. In most cases for turntable it will be fine. Now the handheld mode. I definitely didn't enjoy the handheld mode even on the 01 scanner, but on this one almost useless. The reason for this I found out is that it has those telelens which zooms a lot compared to the S1 which use a wide angle lens. So for example, if I scan something with this, I cannot go too far from the object. So even with the handheld mode, I have to stay between those 20 and maybe 40 centimeters from the object. But even in that case, I scan this small area. So if I scan big object, I have to scan it everywhere. And since it's see only this small part, if I scan 2 frames, I move too quickly, maybe sometimes it cannot put those 2 frames together and it lost the position. That's very big problem. So really slow I have to move to get successful objects. Combination with the turntable and handheld mode did result nice results only with small objects which can fit in this small view angle. If it is bigger object, even in that case I have to move up and down, and it rotates. So I'm up, I move down, and when I'm going up again, it already rotates a little bit, so you cannot recognize where is it because it has very small view angle. So definitely, if you need a handheld mode, I don't recommend this product. The older version with wide angle is much better for the handheld mode. For the turntable, yes, this will give more details, but it doesn't scan colors by default. So pay attention to this if you need something for the animation to import into Blender or something like that. In that case, the 01 is again much better, or this will have some add-on product. In that case it can be used. And in the meantime, the sun is shining and I have to finish these conclusions and the video. I hope I could give you useful information. Thank you for watching and happy scanning!